Hello everyone and welcome back to May's forecast. This is going to be your intuitive reading and also your astrological forecast for the month of May in 2025. So, welcome. For those of you who are new here, just know that you can get early access to these forecasts through Patreon. They always get it first. They also get a personal card along with this reading. So they got it a couple of days ago. So if you don't want to wait and you want to know what's happening right at the top of the month, be sure to join over there. But let's jump into it. Side note, we're going to use this cool wheel instead of my dry erase wheel. I'm really excited for the astrological part. I have to keep a bunch of things on here or else my camera freaks out because it can't find what to focus on. So, overall theme that we've got going on for the month of May, Green Man. All that I desired comes to me easily and effortlessly. I know this to be true, for I am abundant in all that I do. Oh, I love that. You know, I'm hearing like Taurus energy, which is, you know, what we're spending the most of the month in. Also, like, Beltane is, you know, was the start of May 1st, and it's all about new, fresh energy, abundance. Let me just read the card here because I know this has other significations. It's just abundance. I love that. Everything the Green Man touches turns to gold, or rather green, that is. He's the ultimate expression of abundance, and more specifically, an abundance mindset. When the Green Man invites you to his earthly lair, it is to infuse you with the spirit of wealth. Money will flow to you with ease, opportunities will suddenly come knocking, or you will find the fulfillment of a goal is just within reach. This is also a sign that you are on the right path, and what you're doing now is working, so keep at it. Yes, I love this. You know, it kind of aligns with the astrology a little bit of this month, so I'm excited to see where this is going to take us. So yeah, we got abundance. Our needs and wants are met for the month of May. Hell yeah. Let's take that as our theme. Okay, next I'm just asking how this is showing up, because abundance can be so many things, but it is definitely money and material stuff with the King of Pentacles. Love it. And the King of Wands. Gosh, we got two kings here. Lots of, like, look at all three of these dudes have horns. Interesting. We've got like this king energy, and like the king in like the tarot, I know everyone's got different interpretations of it, but like for me, the king is somebody who not only is open to new ideas, but moves quickly on them. He also does the inner work around them. Like he embodies the page, the knight, and the queen all in himself. And he's the pinnacle of that thing. You know, he's the top of each of these suits. He's the top of the pentacles, the top of the wands. And therefore, like, he is that thing embodied. He is passion and fire embodied. He is like material, wealth, finances, you know, food, home, shelter embodied, like the more earthly pursuits, you know, of this life. So like we're experiencing this abundance not just in a new way, but we are just like fully embodying and acting on our passions, and our passions are bringing in support. Like they're bringing in money, it's bringing in like maybe a roof over your head, connections. I do feel like with the King of Pentacles, this is showing up more, like I always see the Pentacles as roof over your head, food in your pantry, money in your bank account. It's the more earthly possessions. It's like, you know, it is the earth element, the earth sign in the tarot. Whereas Wands is more like what's in your head, what are you excited about, what are you passionate about. So you might see it show up in either one of these, like your abundance, the things being want and met. Maybe you're just feeling super connected and passionate about your dreams and your goals, and you're acting on it, you're taking action, and like it's fully starting to manifest. Or, you know, maybe it's like helping support you in a more earthly way. Like, does anyone have a better way of explaining this? Like, do you know what I'm saying? I need like a better word. How do you explain like that Pentacles energy? Because it's not like, you know, the Cups, which is like intuition and love energy and compassion, and it's not air and the suit of swords, because that's like mind and communication, and that's like communicating ideas. It's literal, physical, tangible things. For all my other tarot readers out there. Love this energy. We've got these antlers, like, and I know it's like on my to read list, but I know like the horn gods, the horns in themselves have their own symbolism, and I don't have an association with that. I know there's like a witchcraft association. Let me just ask right now, because if you don't know, you can always ask. Like, intuitively, what does this mean? King, crown, crown chakra. And I just heard, and I'm curious if this aligns with what it is. Like, I was shown the crown chakra and that connection between you and spirit, and there being this like cord, and it's the connection. It's like you're the full embodiment of your earthly self, and then the full embodiment and that connection of spirit. It's like there's that clear pathway between both. Like, honestly, I feel like we're fired up about the things that we're excited about, our passions. We're channeling it super well, and for some reason it's also like helping us. Oh, sorry, I forgot to turn off my speakers. It's helping us really feel connected and in flow of like the material things in life that cover our needs and wants. I want to know next what the biggest obstacle is for this month. Morning dew. What stillness does the silence of one's steadiness bring? Makes sense. I feel like we're so excited. The abundance is flowing. Spring is in the air. The weather is warmer, that sometimes we forget to stop and slow down and really connect with ourselves. So the challenge this month might be to slow down and not get a little too ahead of ourselves, or at least just come back to the connection of your intuition, because we're so focused on like, I feel like we're creating and we're bringing in like wealth, we're bringing in abundance, we're bringing in material stuff, maybe more money, and we're shuffling all of that around very materialistically, but we're kind of forgetting our intuition here. So how do we use this energy to the max and have a fantastic month? We do it by embodying the maiden. Demand what is yours and take back what is taken. Reclaim until you've gathered all of you. Hell yeah, I love this energy. I'm hearing that we have a lot of women in this group. Sorry, that got super bright. Demand what is yours and take back what was taken. It's interesting too, because every time I lay this out, I feel like these two cards relate, these two cards relate, and even though I didn't set up the spread that way, it just has naturally become that. I feel like I'm getting two messages. I am getting more of like the global sense of this, of like standing up and women reclaiming what's theirs and fighting for things. But this is also like taking back your power in your own life as well. I'm hearing to like pay attention to the runes here. I wasn't going to read the runes. I was going to give you guys that as homework, which, side note, if you've watched my rune video, go check out the rune video, little piece of homework. Go look at that and then come back and, tell us what you see down below. I'll just give you a close-up really quick. Is my autofocus not on? Okay, well, there's that one. There's one that looks like a bit R. And then this one is kind of etched funny, but it's like an M that's crossed at the top. And it's crazy because just now it started storming outside. Like, I do feel like this is, it could be a global sense, like we see women reclaiming, taking back their energy, or it could also be that we're in our own personal lives, we're passionate, we're like, I'm going to get that money, I'm going to get that bag. I am fully, I feel like the word I want to use is embodiment. Like, we're stepping into that power, we're asking for what we want, and we're taking it. There's just some self-confidence that comes from this. I feel like we're clicking with our passion, we're clicking with the thing that we're excited about. We finally see forward movement, and we're just like, yes, I'm the boss, I'm the queen, I'm getting the proper return for this, money, exchange of goods, services, whatever, and I feel like we're lit up, we're empowered, and we're just fully feeling, again, that passion, and we're getting compensated for it. So this could be within your own personal career, personal life, personal passions. I know I'm already feeling this energy times a million. And I feel like this could also be seen more on a global or national scale for sure. Okay, so that's how we can harness this energy and use it. Take what's ours. Take what's ours. Take your energy back and really feel that impassioned, empowered energy. All right, and then pulling from the Psychic Development Oracle deck. This is by Tana. I've been working a lot with Tana lately. Really excited to share more of that stuff with you soon. But what about our psychic abilities this month? We already know there might be a little bit of neglect there. Okay, just put pen to paper. Like if you are feeling like you're struggling, sometimes just like trying another modality or automatic writing. If automatic writing doesn't work for you, like I totally get it. Some of us are like dyslexic, it doesn't work. It's just like tough for us. There's all sorts of different ways you can channel, like have stream of consciousness. You can talk it out. You can, record yourself in other ways and just let that kind of flow happen and get messages that way. But I do feel like writing might be a good tool that we can use, even like journaling, to connect to our intuition. Okay. You're going to receive a lot of messages that way this month. All right. And then I like to pull one last card. Anything we need to know about the month of May. Ooh, victimhood. This is definitely blocking some of the energy of abundance in our lives. And so for some of us, it might be really powering through this energy of victimhood. How are you blaming the world for what has happened to you? How have you given up your own agency and power? Alternatively, what painful experiences do you need to fully acknowledge in order to heal? Again, very similar to this Maiden card. Take back that energy, demand what's yours. Like, yes, the world is absolutely effed up right now. I'll be the first to acknowledge that. But at some level, we can still reclaim our energy and take control and accountability for what we can control. I feel like I'm supposed to walk you guys through this right now. All right, I just got a full download. I'm downloading the picture. I'm throwing it in here. The circles of control. They're telling, I totally forgot this. Sorry, guys. I was going to do this last month and I forgot. And so they're reminding me here again. I don't have this memorized, but there's circles of control. There's what you can control and then all the things you cannot control. And I want you to start reframing your day-to-day in this way of, okay, well, where is this thing that's bothering me? Is it in this inner circle? Is it in this outer circle? I think when I first came across this, they did it in terms of like the COVID pandemic, and it was like, you cannot control other people and the ability to not get sick. Like, to some extent you can control that, but you can't control germs. Like, that's not, you're not a superhuman, you just can't do that. Like, it's gonna happen. But there are some things you can control, like going outside less, or like washing your hands, or, you know, that's just kind of a minor example. But start implementing this circle of control idea throughout the month of May. And I'm just asking, how does this show up? Ooh, and you know, this victimhood might show up more with those passions, those like really, the things that we're excited about. Like maybe we come across like self-limiting beliefs, like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I have the time. I don't know if I have the energy. Like, I'm specifically hearing for those of you who are my psychic development students, you're like, I don't know if I'm psychic enough. I don't know. There's too many other psychics. Like, am I even going to do any good here? Like, all of those self-limiting beliefs of like, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough energy. Try to let go of them. Try to, first recognize and acknowledge that you're doing that, but then ask that question. How are you blaming the world for what's happened to you? How have you given up your power, your agency, especially around just specifically your passions? The Eight of Wands is calling us to expand. Sorry, I'm looking at it in front of me and it looks straight, but then I look up in the camera and it doesn't look straight. Eight of Wands is calling us to expand, to hold more, to contain more, to offer more when it comes to like embodying this maiden, embodying this King of Pentacles. Like, this new version of us that's accepting more abundance has to be open and willing to expand more. You have to allow more of this passion, these ideas, this, I'm just hearing like you have to be able to hold more. And if you keep letting all of the excuses keep you small, you're not going to be able to fully step into this king mentality, this abundance mentality, because you're going to keep blaming little things for not allowing yourself to be there. I love this energy. Yes. Okay. Sorry if I'm screaming at you guys in my mic. Awesome. That is our intuitive reading. Or no, I forgot the Astro dice. So the Astro dice, we do have Jupiter in the 11th house, also with Aquarius. Aquarius and 11th house are very similar. That to me says maybe we pay attention to Pluto and Aquarius doing its thing this month. We're going to cover that in a bit. But Jupiter here is helping us expand. It brings luck. It brings abundance. And so we might see that some of this is really being affected, like with social media, with the people that you're around. Maybe it's your clients. The 11th house also can deal with like humanity, like a global scale, like good things happening in that regard. This to me makes me wonder if we're going to see just a little bit different energy globally, one that feels a little bit better. One that's being taken care of more. I know that that's going to happen in June. Like June's going to be a really good month, but May is kind of, we'll get there, but we're kind of wrapping up some energy and starting some new energy that could or could not be bad. I don't know. So in your personal life though, this could be luck and abundance around friends, groups, social media, network, it could be like your colleagues' networks. It could be your clients. Like for me, I always associate the 11th house in Aquarius with like you guys, because you're my clients, but you're also in my social media, you're in the ethers, you know, but you're part of the world, you're part of humanity. Jupiter being expansive. So love this. I mean, definitely with, you know, the Green Man and King of Pentacles, King of Wands, Eight of Wands even, there is this theme of expansion. Awesome. So that is the intuitive reading. Just know I'm always available for private readings as well. You can book those anytime on my website. But let's jump into our Patreon members cards, pulling extra cards for each one of you. For the rest of you watching this on YouTube, we're going to jump to the Astro Forecast. And just a reminder, if you are watching on YouTube, that you can get an individual card every single month with all of my other Patreon members. All you have to do is go sign up on my website. Just visit psychiclauren.com/mentorship and you should see our membership option, which is currently hosted through a Patreon. All right, everyone, welcome to the Astro portion of May. We've got a new board. I told you guys I was going to get this. It finally got in, and I've got little kind of chips to move around. I just feel like it's prettier, but tell me if you like the drawing better after this one's over. So just remember too that I offer astro services. So I do birth charts as of now, and I also do astrocartography, planning on doing zodiacal releasing one day. I'm learning it, and it's just kind of bottom of my list right now, among many other things I'm kind of like creating. So just remember with the astrology, you know, I end up giving you like the extremes of like the best case and the worst case. That doesn't always mean it's going to fall on the extreme. It might be somewhere in the middle. That's just one way that astrologers like talk about things, so that you can kind of understand, okay, this is the spectrum and it could fall anywhere on that. Thankfully, May, though, we have a lot lighter of a month. A lot lighter. May 1st, we have Beltane. Woohoo! Just another Sabbath that we've got coming up. We have 8 Sabbats throughout the year. May 1st, May Day, is also Beltane. And that's the deck that I use at the beginning of this. And I won't speak too much on that, but if you're like, what are the Sabbats? I do have a whole video series on it, and Beltane being one of those. It's like the maypole. That's probably what you traditionally think of when you see Beltane. So I just today realized, oh my gosh, did I miss my Beltane event with my local group? I haven't missed it. It's this weekend, so I'll probably be attending that if we're all over our sickness. It has plagued our house the last week. Oh, and let me also say where we're at. So we're coming out of April, and we have Venus is in Aries right now. Mars is in Leo. And apologies if you're coming from the last video. I'm gonna start putting Aries on the horizon just to make it easy instead of Virgo. That way, if you're looking up any charts, it's accurate. So yeah, basically Venus and Mars, they're now moving forward again. We're not dealing with the retrograde crap that we were dealing with the last couple months. So we're getting new and fresh energy in that, you know, especially with Mars being out of Cancer and into Leo. It didn't like being in Cancer. So all you have to know is like wherever Venus and Mars were kind of affecting you before, when it was going retrograde, you're not having to deal with that. You have a little bit of a breather here. We also are still just kind of like at this, we've got Pluto over here opposing Mars and Leo. So we've got this opposition. I talked about that at the very end of the video for last month because I think it happened like on the very last days of April. It was the one I didn't have a whole lot of research about, and of course it was like the most important one, but I did put notes in that video, just a comment so that you could figure out what that was about. So we're still dealing with that energy pretty heavily right at the start of the month. Most of it being like power plays, shuffling of alliances, but with the sun where it was, we were able to see a lot of those power plays and alliances a little bit more. I'm trying to remember what happened on this exact day. I'm going to go over this in a podcast. I don't want to spend every month going over the prior month, but I am going to go over March and April and everything that did happen if you're really curious. I'm planning on recording that podcast here within the next week. But like this, what happened on the day of, that was when the Pope died. That was when, let's see, I think Iran, just to give you a little preview, Iran, the talks started to move forward again, which was kind of surprising. But at the same time, there was some kind of like unfortunate like terrorist kind of like attacks, like one of those being the Vancouver one where somebody drove into a crowd, which is really weird because the last Mars-Pluto conjunction that this happened basically was the New Year's. And if you remember on New Year's, there was a guy in New Orleans who drove into a crowd. So I only mention that because we're going to see this again. On the 4th of May, you know, we might see, because this Pluto's essentially slowing down. I know I'm always like, I'm not going to get into the little semantics, but I just want to mention that like this thing might happen again with like the, those same patterns on the 4th, because essentially Pluto is slowing down to almost go retrograde. It's about to station retrograde. And whenever things like slow down and go retrograde, it's kind of like an intensification of that energy. And it like brings up those like themes of like violence, just with this specific aspect, the way they're opposing each other. It's kind of like, it tends to bring up like these themes of violence because Mars is violence and force. Pluto is kind of like pointlessness, purposelessness. And so there's kind of like this purposelessness, pointless violence. And again, I already mentioned like what happened the last 2 times this happened recently. But the beautiful thing about after the 4th-ish, Mars kind of moves out of this opposition and we're finally getting into some new energy with Mars. And you're going to feel Mars just being a lot more productive in your life. And again, all you have to do is look at where Leo is in your chart. And that's going to tell you where Mars is in your chart, essentially. And then you look at the house and figure out where that's kind of affecting you. Okay, and I'm going to skip over most of the aspect stuff. I should have skipped over that last one. But then we have on May 12th, we have our full moon in Scorpio. Do I have a moon? Yes, I do. Sweet. And so we'll have a full moon in Scorpio. Again, full moons are about shining a light on something. It can be intense feelings, emotions. This one is definitely going to be that way just because the moon is in Scorpio. There's going to be lots of feelings. There might be some disruptions, like things going not according to plan. So just kind of like be aware of that. Be flexible. The nice thing about this full moon is it's got some other aspects going on that kind of give you like a little bit more stabilization and at the end of it, you're kind of feeling like, okay, I know what to do with this energy. But like if you went and watched my video on the moon phases, like when we have the new moon, that's the start of the cycle, and then we have the full moon, which is about halfway through, but it is halfway through, and then again the new moon is at the end. The full moon is like, it shows you what you've been working on with your intentions from the new moon. So if you set new intentions over here to be more psychic, we're just going to say that, then at the full moon here, we're going to see the issues that are in our way of why we can't be more psychic, or we're going to see that, oh my gosh, I am actually becoming more psychic. I don't have any more obstacles. There's an illumination. Just know that this illumination is to show you what still needs to be worked on while you finish out the rest of that full moon cycle, or just the moon cycle. So it's there to shine light on what needs to be seen, essentially. And so let me tell you where this is going to be happening. So if you are an Aries rising, this is going to be in your 8th house, Taurus rising 7th, Gemini 6, Cancer 5, Leo 4, Virgo 3, Libra 2, Scorpio 1, Sagittarius 12, Capricorn 11th, Aquarius 10, and Pisces 9th. So for me, this is actually my 3rd house. And 3rd house is ruled by Mercury. It's communication, skill development. It can also be like siblings, short trips, very mercurial things. And so I might be seeing, like, I feel like I already know what this is, of like, I'm trying to actually build us a new platform to chat with each other in. I'm basically, just side note, going to be kind of consolidating my Facebook, my Udemy, my Patreon, and we're all going to move over to one platform. Just so we can all actually like see each other better, and like I have everybody in one spot. And although that's like the convenience for me, the convenience for you guys is you're going to be able to meet each other a lot better. You're not going to have to deal with all of the stupid platforms and their ads and all of their dumb things that they have. And side note, I'm moving to Mighty Networks, which if you haven't seen Mighty Networks, oh my gosh, it's so cool, because it's going to be kind of like our own personal feed. It's going to be in my website, so it's not going to be confusing and you have to go to another website. I'm also going to put my courses there. Don't worry if you've already bought courses. Like I'm gonna preface you all on how to move over there and not like pay twice. And again, this is a couple months out, but my point is that like this being in my 3rd house of communication and skill development, like that is what I'm focusing on right now, as I'm trying to figure out the ins and outs of this platform, and I'm getting it built behind the scenes. And so I feel like around this full moon, I might be like, oh geez, there's a lot more that I have not seen about this that I need to like fix. Or maybe I'm like, oh wow, okay, this is really coming together, and now all I have to do are these couple of things. Maybe I'm getting really emotional about it. Emotional can be bad or good. You know, maybe I'm like really disheartened by it, or maybe I'm super pumped and excited by it. I mean, the 3rd house can just be communication in general. Maybe I'm just having like arguments with people or something like that. That's just another example of like what it could be. I only give examples because I find it helpful when you're learning, to just know like, okay, well, what does that mean if your house is in a sign and, you know, this planet is here? What does that energy look like? Skipping over a lot of the more little aspects. Again, I'm only going to mention those if they're important, like globally. You know, just mid-month, 18th through the 22nd, I'm just going to mention that there's going to be like curveballs, arguments, debates, just that combative energy. But basically around the 21st, 22nd, that's going to get a lot more cooled off with a Mars-Venus trine again. So we're just going to, things about the 22nd on, when we get into what season are we going to be in? Are we in Gemini season already? Yes, we are. So I think it's like May, it's either, depending on where you're at, May 20th or May 19th. We'll just put 20th. We're in Gemini season. Gemini season is a lot more quick because it's an air sign. My son is a Gemini. Well, my daughter is also Gemini rising, so I'm getting very familiar with the energy. But it can be fun. It can be social. It can also be a little bit scatterbrained, trying to grasp too many subjects at once and not really knowing where to put your energy. And we're basically there until June 20th-ish. All right, and then the big thing that we are talking about for this month, which is on May 24th. See what I mean of like, there's going to be so much less. These last 2 months were like so much, too much. So we've got Saturn moving into Aries. Saturn into Aries. Now, this is outer planet 3 of 4. So the inner planets, which are like Mars, Venus, the moon, all of these planets that are closer to us, that are closer to the sun, that move quickly. They move very quickly. Like Mercury, it moves very fast through the signs. Moon literally moves through all the signs, you know, in a month. Those are the fast moving planets. The outer planets, which are like Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, those take a lot longer to move around the sun. So their transits are a lot longer. And that's what's, you know, making this year such a big deal, is we're having 4 outer planets change signs. And so the first one of those was Pluto, and that was at the very end of last year, end of 2024. Pluto moved into Aquarius. So we've got new fresh energy in that regard. And then Neptune just last month moved into Aries as well. And I talked about that in the last Astro Forecast. You can go re-listen to that. Like literally, we haven't even been a couple days with it here, with Neptune being in Aries. And now Saturn is making this move, and it is moving into Aries now. And so let me just kind of explain what this energy is going to look like, because it's going to be here for a long time. And I should say it is dipping into Aries just for a minute being 3 months, and then it's going to go back, and then it'll come back fully. Whenever planets are about to change signs, sometimes they do this little bit of like dipping into one sign, going back, and then they're fully there. So talking about Saturn, Saturn is time. It's also the representation of the father. It's maturity. It's slow moving energy. It's being like serious. Like that's why we always say like Saturn returns are scary, is because it's coming in to teach us lessons we don't want to learn from Father Saturn, you know. Now Saturn doesn't like being in Aries. It's in its fall. Aries is youthfulness. It's speed, it's brashness, it's kind of, you know, it's like Aries is the start of the astrological kind of like cycle, the wheel, and it's new, it's fresh, it's like a child, you know, a child versus kind of like an old man. And so we have this balance here of like reconciling the young versus the old, the young being Aries, the old being Saturn. And to give you like an example here, I guess, and you guys might have seen this movie. I feel like it came out in the 90s, but it's that the emperor in China who's a 2-year-old. Like they made him the emperor of China, and he's like literally 2 years old. It's that like extreme responsibility, seriousness, and it having this dichotomy of like it's a 2-year-old. Just side note, this transit has always not been good for China in the past. And essentially it can go both ways. It's like even that the idea of the young kid with way too much responsibility, it can also be like the old wise person who needs to move a lot quicker and is not doing so. So it's like about processes that need a lot of time, but you don't have enough time. It's going to take longer than what you want sometimes. So you're just going to have Saturn and Aries here. And again, you just look at where Aries is in your chart. And you should be really familiar with Aries by now, because we have had so much stuff happening in Pisces and Aries the last couple of months. So like I already know I have Aries in my 8th house. So that means my shared resources, my investments, my it could even be like the occult. But I've found that a lot of this is like my shared money with like family, long-term investments, my husband's money. It might be that like there's fresh energy, there's new energy, but things are taking too long, or I'm being like encumbered by the processes, or maybe like I need more maturity, more learning, even though I'm like I feel like this is like the Fool card for some reason. It's like you want to start fresh and new and exciting, but you also are naive and encumbered by like the things you don't quite realize yet. So drop it in the comments below. What house is Aries in for you? And again, if you listen to my podcast on the full year, this the 3 of the 4 planets moving also form this big kite formation in July, and we're quickly approaching that now. And so we're getting a little bit more of a taste when Saturn moves into Aries of what might be coming up for us in July, what this is going to look like. And we've already got the pieces now of what Neptune looks like, what Pluto looks like, and so we're kind of combining these themes and the things that happened around them to try to make kind of guesses at what could happen in July. Saturn's going to be in Aries until about like, I think it's like September 1st, somewhere in there. Unfortunately, though, every time Saturn goes into Aries, we're talking about conflict, we're talking about war on a more global scale. The tone is going to just shift kind of dramatically. There's a lot of like responsibility, a lot of like weight, again, on a global scale. But again, right on that 24th, there might be something, give or take a day, because it doesn't always happen like day of. There might be something that's going to foreshadow kind of those next 3 years of what Saturn in Aries is going to look like. But yeah, going back to kind of the main astrological calendar of the year, you can kind of see how we are approaching our July energy, and Saturn being a big player of this. So Saturn's moving into Aries, where it doesn't like to be, and then it's going to be doing a lot of other stuff closer to July. But it's not like we're not feeling Saturn. It's just going to kind of intensify. And then you see it kind of dip back off after September 1st when it changes signs. And that really only leaves us Uranus. Uranus moving into Gemini, which happens on July 7th. I'm just giving you a little precursor. That's that 4th planet. And Uranus moving into Gemini, not a good sign for the US, on top of having all of these other planets. And we're going to get there when we get there. Again, I covered that a little bit in the Saturn-Neptune conjunction that I talked about in March. I do think, you know, if you're like really itching to know, definitely watch my full 2025 breakdown, as well as my March kind of forecast, because I talk about that Saturn-Neptune energy and what that kite formation is starting to kind of look like. But so point being, pay attention also around what happens around this date, because that's going to give us an indication of like when all 4 of these planets come together, what's going to be happening for most of our summer. Our summer being like our next hotspot. We have a couple months of reprieve here. This is going to be a great month to get some stuff done. So like after May 24th, we have some really harmonious days, really awesome days. Like it's a great time to start new things. Like if you're trying to I don't know, get married, start a new business, like do it now when the energies are good, because like that's like when you start something new, that's like the birth chart for that thing. And so you have those kind of energies influencing it throughout. I don't think there's anything else I want to say about that. So, and then we have our second lunation, which is on May 26th, and we have our new moon in Gemini. Again, that's why we're in Gemini season. So, new moon in Gemini. This new moon is going to be awesome. Set some good intentions on this new moon, especially around communication. Like Gemini for me is in my 10th house. And so that's where you want to look, and I'll tell you really quick where your house is. So for me in my 10th house, like I know this is my business. So I'm going to set new intentions around my business, and then pay attention, because the next full moon after that, you're going to get some indication of how it's working. And then by the next new moon, you're going to see if like those things came to pass, or if you need to go back to the drawing board and start again. And again, if you're like, I don't know what that means, check out my moon phase video. I go into that in way more detail. All right, so for The new moon in Gemini. Aries, this is going to be in your 3rd house, Taurus 2nd, Gemini 1st, Cancer 12th, Leo 11, Virgo 10, Libra 9th, Scorpio 8th, Sagittarius 7th, Capricorn 6th, Aquarius 5, and Pisces 4. But yeah, this new moon is going to be really awesome. There's just a lot of aspects, lots of things going on that I'm not going to dive into that are going to make it just a really perfect time. So dive into setting some new moon intentions. It's going to be just a great time to do that. And this is just when we get into some really harmonious energy. Again, probably from like the 25th, 26th on. There's just going to be a lot of good energy to start new things. You're going to finally feel like you're not stuck by all of the other stuff that was happening over here. Oh, I should have put my little on my Gemini sun. Sorry. Gemini season means the sun moves into Gemini, so it was in Taurus. Now it moves into Gemini. But yeah, you're going to have a lot of good energy moving at the very end of May and into June. June's going to be an awesome astrological month, and we'll cover that in our next video, and I'm really excited about that. Yeah, I'm going to keep it there, short and sweet. Literally, the biggest thing is just this Saturn moving into Aries. And again, that's going to affect you personally in a different way. Like, yeah, we're talking about global stuff, but also like, what is that going to do for your personal life? Like for me, it's going to bring in some discipline, but maybe also some action finally, in my 8th house. And there's going to be just kind of this warring energy of like starting new things, but also being forced to like keep it in a good process and like let it mature and let it, it's like not having enough time and trying to do too much with too little time. And eventually though, it's going to be, I feel like it's a good thing in the sense of like, we're starting something new, we're building something, we're maybe just a little bit over eager. But the beautiful thing about Saturn is that like, it is there to help us build something more permanent and have something that's like very reliable in the long run. So even if like it takes, it's a pain in the butt to build, I always say like Saturn in your like relationship house, which is the 7th house, it's like you might have a harder time getting those relationships going, but by the end of it, not by the end of it, but as you get going, you end up building a much stronger relationship because of it. And it's one that lasts the test of time because it has such good foundations, because you were pushed to really like try hard to really make it work, and do it the right way. Saturn comes in and makes us do it the right way, the hard way, the long way, but it's one that will eventually give us gains on the long end. So like when you build a house on a Saturn line, for example, in astrocartography, you might be faced with a ton of problems building that house, with construction, yada yada. However, once you get past the long hurdle of trying to fix everything, maybe that's the house that you end up like selling or, renting out, and it ends up making you so much money down the long run. Like that's that Saturn energy. So just pay attention to what house this is showing up in, and know that you have to be flexible and not try to control too much with the time, and learn the lessons that Saturn is here to teach you, because ultimately it's going to build you something better in the long term. So for me, hopefully better long-term finances and investments, and shared joint money with my partner or my family, because I do have like a family business, and all of that good stuff. So yeah, curious to know where it is for you. Let me know in the comments and we could break down that house. And if you don't know and you're like, I don't know anything about my chart, feel free to reach out. I have a birth chart reading available. I'm actually going to jump off and go do one for a client right now. So thank you all so much for watching. Happy May. So excited about this abundant energy that's coming through. I hope you all have a fantastic month, and I will see you next month in our forecast. And be sure to join us over on Patreon so you can get early access to that. Alrighty, everyone. Bye.